David Walliams sold 50 million children's books and became one of Britain's most loved entertainers. Then a single leaked conversation changed the picture. What audiences heard in 2022 stunned the country and ended his decade on Britain's Got Talent. Yet those crude remarks were only the surface. Behind them lay what he had carried since childhood: multiple suicide attempts, family shadows, and a sadness that began before he could even explain it. The real story of David Walliams is not simply fame or scandal. It's the account of a man who spent his life trying to survive his own mind. David Walliams was born on August 20th, 1971, in Merton, London. His father, Peter, worked for London Transport and made about $8,000 a year. His mother, Kathleen, was a hospital lab worker making $5,200 a year. They lived in a tiny two-bedroom house in Banstead, Surrey. It was only worth around $18,000 back then. From the outside, everything looked ordinary. Inside, 4-year-old David would lock himself in the bathroom for hours, mimicking the voices he heard on television. His mother later recalled finding him deep in conversation with imaginary characters, each with its own voice. No one realized then that he was already wrestling with sadness and anxiety. At 7, he joined the Sea Scouts to feel like one of the boys. Within 3 weeks, it fell apart. Older boys mocked him for sounding too posh and acting dramatic. That summer, during a scout camp on Brownsea Island, the worst happened. One night he was found hanging by his neckerchief from a tree. The leaders said it was an accident, but David later admitted he had tried to end his life. The adults shielded the truth. His parents heard he had fallen. That moment marked the start of a lifelong battle. He became one of the youngest known kids in the UK to attempt suicide while in the Scouts. By age 10, David had collected 47 comedy albums. He poured his entire 200 weekly allowance into charity shops to buy them. He memorized Monty Python and Rowan Atkinson routines word for word. His mom once found him at 2 a.m. doing a full show to the mirror, dressed in her clothes. That same year, doctors prescribed imipramine, an antidepressant rarely given to children then. He wore headphones for 8 hours a day to drown out the dark thoughts. Schoolwork slid quickly. In 6 months, he went from A's to D's. He chose laughter over everything else. In 1982, David entered Reigate Grammar School. Acceptance didn't come. During the first term, he landed in hospital twice, once with a broken nose, once after being locked in a cupboard for hours. Classmates called him Coco, mocking his voice and movement. His weight fell from 6 stone to just 4 stone 8 lb in a year. His English teacher noted frequent bruises. David would say he'd fallen down the stairs. The lowest point came in 1984, when bullies forced him to perform comedy in the school toilets while pelting him with wet tissue. Still, the drama marks told another story. He earned 98% for a one-man piece on loneliness. That year, at 12, came another attempt. After a humiliating Sea Scouts incident, a staged swimming test, where he was stripped, he went home and tried to hang himself with his school tie. His mother found him unconscious. At 7:43 p.m., the ambulance arrived. He'd been out for about 3 minutes. The hospital kept him under psychiatric watch for 72 hours. His doctor wrote that his thoughts were far more serious than expected for a child. His parents withdrew him from Scouts for good. He did not speak publicly about this attempt until 2008. At 13, he joined the National Youth Theatre, supposed to be a step forward, but the loneliness followed. Surrounded by other kids who adored acting, he still felt outside. He met Matt Lucas there, his future creative partner, but even that bright connection couldn't lift the fog. He later said it seemed everyone else had friends except him. He kept smiling for the room while inside he was sinking. At 16, he needed to join Equity, the actors' union. Someone else already had the name David Walliams. He opened the phone book, pointed at random, and became Walliams. His father disapproved, felt the family name was being thrown away. For David, the change was escape, a chance to become someone he could bear to be. To schoolmates, it seemed abrupt. To him, it was survival, not fame. In 1989, he began drama at the University of Bristol. That winter, he broke down. Back home for Christmas, he overdosed on pills in his childhood bedroom. His mother found him and rushed him to hospital in tears. He survived, barely. He later said his mother's love saved his life. The overdose made the pain visible to his family. At Bristol, he joined a comedy troupe called David Icke and the Orphans of Jesus. Among them were future stars like Simon Pegg. On stage, he shone. Off stage, he unraveled. He was hospitalized again. Classmates had no idea how bad it was. He learned to hide everything behind a grin. In 1991, his friendship with Simon Pegg deepened. Pegg later said David looked like a born extrovert. In private, David wrote about stepping in front of a train, thoughts that returned and returned. He researched them. The company of friends couldn't quiet the noise. In 1992, he debuted solo at the Edinburgh Fringe, with Games Night at 21. Reviews were kind, backstage was not. Panic attacks hit him every morning. He lost 14 lbs to stress but finished all 18 performances. Audiences never saw the struggle. The show got him an agent even as he suffered in silence. By 1995, he reunited with Matt Lucas for MASH and Peas. They filmed it at $8,000 per episode in a cramped warehouse. It ran 9 episodes, lampooning vintage children's TV. One sketch proved so incendiary it was banned, a parody called I'm Black and Dad's in the Klan. Despite controversy, the cult following grew and careers took off. In 1999, they launched Rock Profile, dressing as pop stars for faux interviews. Behind the camera, tension grew. David would sometimes vanish mid-shoot. Lucas had to improvise. They spoofed celebrities like Gary Barlow. Some didn't laugh. Barlow's team even threatened to sue. Still, the show became their biggest hit yet, with over 2 million viewers for a 2001 special. In 2001, he appeared in Spaced as Vulva, an androgynous performance artist. Hours in makeup for 8 minutes on screen. One scene ends with a punch to the face during an art piece. Bizarre, but he poured real feeling into it. In 2002, he starred in BBC's Cruise of the Gods as a superfan of a fake sci-fi series. He went to real conventions to prepare. A 2-minute monologue about being let down by childhood heroes became the film's emotional peak. David Walliams didn't blow up overnight. The slow rise began in August 2000, when he and Matt Lucas launched Little Britain on BBC Radio 4 at 11 p.m. It ran 9 episodes and caused a stir. The characters, Vicky Pollard, Emily Howard, Marjorie Dawes, were outrageous. The tone both funny and shocking. That late-night radio spark grew into a $25 million comedy juggernaut. Years later, in 2003, Little Britain jumped to BBC 3. Everything exploded. The first TV episode drew 8 million viewers, a channel record. Walliams went all in, wigs, prosthetics, full costume transformations. One of the most infamous characters was Emily Howard, a man badly pretending to be a woman in Victorian dress. I'm a lady. By 2005, the show aired on BBC One and reached 5 million per episode, nearly 4 in 10 viewers at that hour. It made $3, $5 million from DVDs alone. Walliams was now a top-tier comedy star. Not all the attention was applause. In 2004, he introduced Harvey Pincher, crying "Biddy, Biddy," pretending to breastfeed from his mother, wearing a baby bonnet and acting infantile in shops and restaurants. Parent groups and religious leaders were appalled. Some countries banned it, yet the Biddy craze sold merchandise and made even more money. Walliams later admitted the aim was to shock, and it worked. In 2005 and 2006, he and Lucas toured live. It became the longest-running UK comedy tour on record. They performed Tuha once before 800,000 people and earned over $25 million. Tickets vanished a year in advance. All the while, Walliams was unwell. On New Year's Day, 2003, before the tour, he tried to end his life. He cut his wrists and throat with a kitchen knife. Later that year, he attempted hanging. He wrote, "I knew I didn't really want to die. I just didn't want to live." He still went on stage night after night. His mother once found him after an overdose and cried for weeks. Even while staying at the Priory Clinic for depression, he kept performing. In 2008, Little Britain crossed the Atlantic. HBO aired Little Britain USA and it received 2 Emmy nominations. Walliams poured more of his own sorrow into the characters. still funny, but cracked like he was. American audiences recoiled at stereotypes and blackface accusations. Ratings fell. HBO canceled after 6 episodes. Even with earlier awards, including a 2007 Emmy, the U.S. version faltered. Comedy was shifting, and his style no longer fit. In 2012, he joined Britain's Got Talent beside Simon Cowell, Amanda Holden, and Alicia Dixon. More than 11 million tuned in each episode. The 2015 finale hit 75 million. Walliams became known for big-hearted reactions. He hit the golden buzzer for a school choir that moved him to tears. Then, in 2020, open microphones caught private remarks during auditions. He used nasty, sexually graphic language about contestants, calling one woman the slightly boring girl you meet in the pub that thinks you want to them. When the transcript leaked in 2022, it blew up. He apologized, but the damage stuck. His run on the show ended in shame. Back in 2015, he had shown a quieter gear in Partners in Crime, based on Agatha Christie's books, playing Tommy Beresford. 6 episodes began airing July 26, 2015. Reviews were mixed. It drew a 6.5 on IMDb and was not renewed. In 2016, he tried sketch once more with Walliams and Friend, launching with a Christmas special that drew 6 million. Within 6 episodes, ratings fell to 3 million. Some sketches felt too close to the controversies. Jokes missed. Canceled after 1 season. He made a small splash in 2007's Stardust as Prince Secundus, often misremembered, in a film starring Robert De Niro, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Claire Danes. Budgeted at $70 to 80 equals $5 million, it made $137 million and became a cult favorite. His role was brief, but he held his own. In 2017, ITV handed him The Nightly Show, replacing the 10 p.m. news. It opened at 2.9 million. By Friday, only 1.2 million watched, a 59% slide in 5 days. Critics pounced. Viewers resented the missing news. It became his last solo host slot. Meanwhile, a different career took flight. In October 2008, he published The Boy in the Dress, about a boy named Dennis who wears girls' clothes. It caused an uproar. Some parents accused it of promoting transgenderism and demanded removals. Aldi shoppers in Australia even pushed to pull it in 2017. The book still became a hit. Walliams said he wrote to foster empathy. It became a BBC film in 2014 and a Royal Shakespeare Company musical in 2019. That book opened a new chapter that would eventually sell over 40 million children's books he didn't just write. In July 2006, he swam the English Channel 21M in 10 hours and 34 minutes, battling jellyfish, shipwakes, and cold, singing Pet Shop Boys and ABBA in his head. He raised nearly $1 million for sport relief. Later, he admitted it wasn't only for charity, he was trying to escape his own thoughts. He trained 11 months while still touring, and called the swim a redemption. In 2011, he published Gangster Granny. Born from the grief of losing his dad, Peter Walliams, to liver cancer in December 2007, diagnosed only 3 months earlier. Peter didn't drink. The diagnosis stunned the family. David stopped everything to be with him, even delaying the U.S. Little Britain. Gangster Granny, about an 11-year-old who discovers his grand's jewel thief past, was really about love, loss, and family, mattering more than fame. It became a TV special and earned a 2022 sequel. In September 2011, he attempted another swim, 140 meters through the polluted River Thames. He grew sick halfway, vomiting, fever, from swallowing bacteria, but finished on September 12, 2011. He raised over $1 million again. He admitted he did it to fight depression. The pain quieted the sadness. His 2012 book, Ratburger, became a 2017 Christmas film. It followed Zoe, abused at home and bullied at school, who befriends a dancing rat while facing a villain bent on grinding rats into burgers. Walliams based that villain on a Britain's Got Talent hopeful who ate live cockroaches. Funny on the surface, it carried the ache of his own childhood. In May 2010, he married Dutch supermodel Lara Stone at Claridge's Hotel after only 8 months of dating. Their son, Alfred, was born in May 2013. The marriage was already cracking. Depression and suicidal thoughts stalked him. A psychiatrist warned of danger. In March 2015, Lara left with Alfred and the dog. He tried to mask the pain. Those near him saw it plainly. Their divorce became a bitter fight over $19 million. David had earned $3 million. Lara had $6 million. The dispute over money and custody dragged 14 months. The final settlement stayed sealed. His mental health worsened under the strain. In 2020, filming Who Do You Think You Are? He discovered his great-grandfather, John George Borman, had spent 43 years in an asylum after World War I shell shock. Certified insane in 1919, he lived out his days in hospital. Dying in 1962, David recognized a lineage of illness, a thread he had been fighting his entire life. In 2003, while the world laughed at Little Britain, he was drowning. That year he made more than one attempt. On New Year's Day, he used a kitchen knife on his wrists and throat. Later, after a breakup, he tried hanging. In his diary, "Just tried to hang myself, but I knew I didn't really want to die. I just didn't want to live. I took my weight with my feet and sat down." He nearly stepped in front of a train. The public saw the bright performer. Behind the curtain, he was desperate. His pain didn't begin in adulthood. In 1989, at 18, home for Christmas from university, he overdosed on painkillers in his childhood room. Kathleen found him, thought he was gone, and wept for weeks after. "I'm ashamed I was so selfish to put her through this," he later said. The roots went further back. At 12, a Sea Scouts camp humiliation drove him to try hanging. He stopped only because he was too tall for it to work. From then on, self-destructive thoughts were a recurring presence. Success never erased them. In the 1990s, doctors finally named it severe depression and treated him at the Priory. Mental illness ran in the family, heightening his risk. Studies link bipolar spectrum illness to heredity. People with close relatives can be nearly 8 times more likely to develop it. For Walliams, the sadness wasn't just circumstantial, it was wired in. In 2011, he swam the 140-mile charity challenge on the Thames. He admitted he wanted punishment, pain to match the mind's ordeal. The water was filthy. He vomited, suffered diarrhea, high fever, and nearly died of Thames tummy. Some swimmers with the same infection ended up on life support. His body began to fail. He needed emergency back surgery in 2013 from the damage. What began as a good cause turned into another way he hurt himself. Then, in January 2020, everything tilted again. During breaks on Britain's Got Talent, he made crude private remarks. He didn't know the microphones were still rolling. He called an older man a slur and made a sexual joke about a female performer. Nearly 3 years later, in November 2022, the transcript leaked. He was 51. He apologized immediately, saying the conversations were never meant to be public. It didn't matter. The scandal erupted. A $1 million offer from Fremantle for the 2023 series vanished. That same month, his psychiatrist reported severe suicidal thoughts. He felt he had lost his ability to be funny. He was afraid to walk into a studio, fearing more tapes would surface. His 2012-2022 decade on the show ended. He was replaced by Bruno Tonioli, paid $1.5 million in September 2023. Walliams sued Fremantle in the High Court, alleging they kept his mic live all day and recorded personal conversations without consent. The filings said recordings captured him discussing food addiction, his father's death, and the collapse of his marriage. He said the leak caused serious mental harm and huge financial loss. In November 2023, they settled privately. Fremantle apologized and pledged better treatment of future performers. The career damage was stark. After the November 2022 story, he lost about $7 million planned work. A Channel 4 project in India was canceled. Stage shows based on his bestsellers were shelved. His podcast with Matt Lucas paused. Commissioners avoided risk. The family-friendly reputation collapsed. TV offers dried up. Book events thinned. Court papers showed most TV income gone. The gap between the beloved author and the man on the tapes was hard to reconcile. He had built more than a decade writing for children, over 50 million books in 50 languages. Titles like Gangster Granny and The World's Worst Children made him a household staple. Kids loved him. Parents trusted him. Then it all shifted. His private pain, his jokes, his sadness, even his darkest thoughts, things never meant for the public, were out. Worse was how systematic it felt. For 10 straight years from 2012 to 2022, microphones had captured nearly everything. When the recording surfaced, the image he spent years crafting collapsed overnight. He had originally sued for $10 million. The settlement in the end was said to be far below that. Still, it gave him a breath and a chance to start again. In December 2024, he reunited with Matt Lucas. They worked on a new podcast, Making a Scene, planned for January 2025. They also met with Netflix about new projects, not Little Britain reboots, but fresh ideas. Lucas promised they'd play themselves, edgy but not offensive. They knew times had changed. Despite it all, Walliams' books kept moving. Total sales crossed 50 million in 2022. Gangster Granny alone sold 16 million. His work reached 53 languages. He kept writing, releasing titles like the David Walliams Annual 2025. In January 2025, he toured India to promote the books, which had already sold 37 million copies globally. Writing became therapy, his way to endure. In November 2024, he spoke again about the day his mother found him in 1989, unconscious after an overdose. It broke her heart. She cried for weeks. "I am ashamed I was so selfish to put her through this." He described the fear he lived with, fear of life, fear of love, fear of everything. He wanted people to understand that mental illness can hide behind a smile, and that family can mean the difference between despair and survival.